Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
The print off the cuff. Corporate partner AU Small Finance Bank in association with global insurance brokers, airline partner SpiceJet in alliance with Indraprasth Apollo Hospitals.
When you have a guest like Captain Amrinder Singh, you don't waste time in introductions. You get down to the point right away. So, Captain Amrinder, if I may call you,
yes,
and please don't think that this is impertinent. Amrinder and I have known each other as a journalist and as a public figure, also as a journalist and a military historian now for more than 4 decades. So, we can take liberties with each other, although he's a bit younger than me. Thank you, Amrinder. I know you've been doing a lot of interviews, and in some ways I am sort of happy that we have kept it till the end. Because we've planned this conversation for a long time, even before this political crisis emerged in Punjab and upheaval. And the larger platform on which I've been wanting, or we've been wanting to have this conversation, is national security. Now, looking at Punjab at this point, do you share the feeling that I get sometimes that Punjab is on the verge, on the edge of going back to a very bad place?
Yes.
A place we thought we left behind 30 years back and which we thought Punjab will never see again.
You're right. I am, and I've been concerned not from now, I've been concerned from the last at least 3 years. Since this Six for Justice fellow came up, Pannu in the thing, and creating a ruckus all over the place. And the link up which they've had with Pakistan, which we've been getting information all the time, we keep getting it. I'm sure central agencies will be getting it too. And then the weaponizing of Punjab. This is something that has happened in the past. They've got ISI sleeper cells, they've got Khalistani sleeper cells, which they keep funding, but now and sending weapons to. Now the quantum of weapons that are coming are certainly disturbing. And I took this up with the Government of India. I also gave a copy of this to Mrs. Gandhi, the Congress President, when I saw her as the Chief Minister. And I told her that we are very concerned about all this weaponizing going on. You see, earlier, people used to go under the wire. A tunnel was found here by the BSF or there or the other. Then sometimes they used to swim across the river. But now it's this drone activity. And the drone activity is now increasing in intensity. And these are some weapons which we have traced, Shekhar, which we have found.
Yeah,
these are weapons which we have found.
Yeah.
Now, my point is, these are the ones we found. Where are the ones that we haven't found?
Because as they say with drugs, for every gram that you found, maybe 50 grams got away.
Absolutely. This is happening here. Now, the first drones that came a year and a half ago or so, with the pictures, this one is the first drones. It had an AK-47, it had 2 magazines, it had 2 pistols with 4 magazines loaded fully. It had heroin, and it had 2 lakhs in cash. That was the first drone. Now, how did
2 lakhs in cash in Indian rupees?
Indian rupees. Now, how did we pick it up? How did we get it? Otherwise, this would come, drop their payload, and be taken back. When they dropped him, he got stuck in a tree. And that's how we discovered that these drones were doing this business. And then, of course, the BSF is on the job, our chaps are on the job. But the technology of drones is growing so much now that the distance is more and the payload is more. And this is something which is concerning us, because if each 2 of them get by, means you are adding RDX, you are adding these little tiffin boxes which children carry to school, make them into bombs and various other things. And somebody is planning something. What is that being planned? We don't know. And that is my worry.
What are these tiffin boxes you're talking about?
Well, they're little boxes which the children carry sandwiches to school or their lunch boxes. They have about 6 kilograms of RDX in it, 6 kilograms. And it's got according to what the ones we have found 6. And that they've gone to these bomb disposal people. They've opened them, they've examined them. And there are triple switches inside, that in case one fails to go off when somebody opens it, then the second takes over, then the third takes over. So it's virtually foolproof.
They are already rigged as bombs.
All rigged as bombs. And who will open it? When a child goes, it will be a child. Or the ayah goes to drop it at lunchtime, it will be that lady plus the children or the parents go, it will be the parents plus the children. God, so what really is the objective of these all this going on? And that is concerning me a great deal. So I wrote to the Home Minister, and I sent him these also. And I wrote to the Home Minister just, I think, and I went to see him last week only, a week before last. And I told him that this is, I went to see the Home Minister for the farmers' issues, but I went to see the NSA for this issue of this crossing the border and all the weaponizing, because my state becomes a frontline state. We have got a 600-kilometer border from Pathankot to Fazilka, and that can be crossed at any time, and I become the target area.
Are you doing this? Aren't you doing this behind the back of your own party? Because it will then be seen as you collaborating with the BJP government behind the back of your own party.
No, that's not it. When it comes to national security, when it comes to secure Punjab, then there is no national behind any parties. We are beyond party in this. It is a question of giving security to our people, and our people means Indian people, mean Punjabi people. The common border with Pakistan is not only Punjab's border; it is India's border. And anything crossed there is crossing into our area. And so it's not a question of this. This is why I've been making these statements for many years now. And India comes first, national security comes first, other things come after.
Because when I see these pictures, my impression of terrorist equipment is the AK-47. AK-47 or AK variants. And they can be grenades. But I find a lot of, in these pictures that you've showed me, and we'll see them on the screen, I find a lot of handguns. These look like like a katta business in UP or Bihar or someplace that, everybody wants to have a little handgun, and somebody's doing a gun running business with pistols.
These are not handguns made in the Satta business. These are Berettas, they are Zigmas, they are Czechoslovakian, they are Turkish, and they are all dropped here. Now there is on various dates here that these are dropped. Now what are these pistols meant for? Now these are short range weapons. These are for a few yards. Even when I did my weapons course, after my graduation, young officers are sent on weapons course, I found it difficult to handle a pistol at more than a certain range.
Right.
But they are not meant for a range. They are meant for close killing. Now what are these? Who are they going to kill closely? These are worries for me. Here's AK-47. AK-47s are there. That's okay. You have a longer. They are close quarter weapons also, but still you get 40 yards or 30 yards.
You can conceal easily, and you can walk into a shop and kill somebody.
And just kill somebody. I am fearing that, because that is what Punjab has been through once before.
Yes.
This Sindhu Sikh business, and I
Yes.
don't. That is.
And I remember those killings in barber shops. And
Yes.
in
And
buses.
mandis. In the mandis, people are
mandis.
basking in the sun, and one fellow came in my Balbeda mandi in Patiala. The first killing took place. They were sitting in the morning in the sun, and these fellows came and just one bang, 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 bang.
So, did you brief your own party leaders also on this?
Well, that I think my party leaders know, but I went to the Congress president with this, and I sent it in writing also, and I put everything there, and I told her that we are heading for some sort of I can't make out what it is, but there is an objective. Nobody sends them to celebrate Diwali and have a bang here. They are here with a purpose. What is that purpose? Who is holding them? What is the objective of these weapons coming in? There has to be something, and I'm sure the national security people are looking into the reasons and various things. I'm no longer there for the last month. I don't know what's come up now. But certainly before that, and even now, as a citizen of Punjab, and as somebody who spent 52 years in the political life of Punjab, it concerns me a great deal as to what this is.
And in the army before that.
And an army before that.
So, you have your critics, just as you have your fans. So Chitleen Sethi, my colleague, who you know in Chandigarh, she has a question that what about the impression that you are overstating the threat to national security or threat of terror to Punjab or Hindu-Sikh issues in Punjab, essentially to attract the Hindu vote towards yourself?
No, that's nothing to do with it. Let's see when the time comes whether I am right or Chitleen is right. Let's see. I have been through difficult times. Look, Shekhar, you and I have been through the build-up to 1884. when I used to go at night to meet the sons, with the objective on behalf of the Prime Minister to try and bring about peace. And I used to see how the Darbar Sahib was being fortified and other things were taking place. After Blue Star, the rise of terrorism, I was there again, very much part of it, and I saw people, friends being killed in this. When that election, which was cancelled, 18 of our candidates were shot dead. So we know what was happening then. Had I not cancelled that Water Termination Act, you would have had another round of terrorism coming up. And now again, there has to be a reason. And nobody, no foolish man, whether it's in this Khalistan force, that Pannu's force, or the Pakistan ISI, is going to send these weapons for the sake of fun.
So what exactly is happening right now on the ground? Because, okay, I agree that there are weapons are coming in. And the only thing that's lacking is young people again being willing to take the risk of picking these up.
That is lacking. And that is why I want Pakistan, Punjab to come back to normal. That is why I want the farmer agitation to stop. You know, you and I, when there's a farmer agitation, or the senior people of the agitation, can sit and talk. But there are youngsters there who, when they see, I've had 407 people of Punjab farmers dying. I've given 5 lakh each to their dependents. I've given each one of them jobs. Now that is, when they die, there's bitterness left in some of them. And they could become they are not at the moment getting recruits, but they could become recruits. And that is why I want normalcy to come.
So how will the farm agitation end?
Has to end on understanding, and they are having an understanding. They are having meetings with the government and their whoever they nominate, and eventually any war, any problem, any complication has to come to the negotiating table, and they are negotiating, and hopefully that negotiation will reach a conclusion, and it will end, that will give me. I'll be able to breathe a sigh of relief. That
you think negotiations are going on a track?
Oh, I'm sure.
Track 2 basis.
No, track 2, no. But I think they are direct. The farmers don't want any politician to get involved. They made it absolutely clear. And they have said, we are dealing. And they had a committee. Now I'm told it was a 13-member committee. Now it's some smaller numbers and all. And they are talking to whoever the government of India has put up to talk to. And hopefully it will conclude. Because I think, for them also, they've been here for a year. And then, of course, they are not doing it for themselves. Let me tell you, these leaders are now all of my age or that sort of thing. They are doing it for the future. And they think that if they don't secure the future of their children, there will be no future for them. And that is the reason that they are doing this. And I think they are right. I agreed with them. I did not agree with these 3 laws that have been passed. I had counter laws brought in the Vidhan Sabha and we passed it. So we sent it to the governor unanimously. We sent it to the governor, the bill, and he just sat on it. He didn't send them to Delhi. Obviously, but Delhi must have told him not to send them. But the thing is that it could have ended then. But that's the way things go here.
So you people must be wondering how come Captain Amrinder Singh and I are defying all the COVID protocols. We are not. So the Prime Minister says, "Do gaz ki duri, mask hai zaruri." So we have do gaz ki duri. We are talking without masks because otherwise it becomes a bit tougher, but we've got a barrier between us. So this makes up for the mask. So just to let you know that we are not setting a bad example. Amrinder, what worries me is weapons are just instruments. But some of the language that's come back in Punjab's discourse, for example, Beadbi, Behurmati, sacrilege, blasphemy, kill somebody, cut somebody to pieces. This takes you right back to 1978. The issue with Nirankaris. Right now there is also an issue with the Deras. So do you see some of this revivalism returning?
It started off with the Bargadi, Jwarke, Babel Kala, Kot Kapura firing and all this. And for that we put up our... Now you see, Indian law takes its own time. I can't move things quicker. I've arrested 19 policemen, including the DGP of police, Mr. Saini, including the senior IG in charge there, Mr. Param Raj, the SSP who was on the spot, plus his other factotums and officers all over there, 19 of them. 24 civilians have been arrested. They've all gone into this and they are out on bail. Now the SIT is working, it's in the court, and they will present the case to the court. Now it's going to take its own time. That is unfortunate for.
What was behind these incidents of sacrilege? Because that is the one that sparked this trouble which is going on even now.
That, unfortunately, yes, it has been one of our sects have been accused on this, but you can't say somebody is accused till finally the court decides whether they're accused or not. But they felt that the Johar Ke incident where things were written on the wall and all, that was done by one of our sects. I don't want to bring names into it, but that was done. So that is one issue. The Babel Kana issue was there. Then the Bargadi issue was police firing. Kotkapura was police firing. These sort of things are there. So these things have been going on. Then Maud, you had a Maud blast also, where some people were killed.
Maud Mandi.
In
the Malwa region of Punjab.
Yeah, it's southern Bathinda side, next that area. So these things have been going on. So it is unfortunate that it comes back all over again, back to anti-religious feelings and all, which is wrong. I'm afraid I have always been against this, and I think it's
because that's how the last round started.
Yeah.
It started with Nirankaris claiming to be Sikhs and the Nirankari chief.
With the Damdami Taksal and the Nirankari issue.
That's how the first incident
in
took place.
Amritsar.
Yeah, in Amritsar on the Baisakhi day of 1978. Yeah. And then it just became a cycle.
This is sad. I hope that in my lifetime, I don't see this happening in Punjab again. I don't mean that I want a short life, but I mean that.
In fact, you famously said that you can be old at 40 and young at 80.
I just said that too. You can be old at 80, young at 80 and old at 50.
But you are forever young. Forever younger than me, so it's okay.
No, I'm older than you.
No, forever younger than me in that sense.
Yeah, that's it. But it's been a good life, and I only hope that I have some usefulness left in me for my state. I've always wanted to be in Punjab from the day I was elected. I came, 84, I resigned and went. Subsequently, when I came after I and Arun Jaitley fought it out in Amritsar, and then also I was happy to go back to Punjab. And that is my thing. So whatever productive years I've got left, I want to give them to my state.
This incident of the Dalit fellow being killed at Singhu border.
Terrible tragedy. Absolute awful.
How do you read this?
I read this that it was, I don't believe that the fellow was doing any beadbi, as they call it. That means sacrilege issue in front of a Gurdwara Sahib or something like that. But because there were too many people and nobody can do it. These things were done in Babel Kala and Bargadi where nobody was watching. Happened at night when the Gutka Sahib was torn off or something else was done. It was nobody watching. It was the investigation that later on found out who that was. Here, when you're standing in front of thousands of people, how can you go and do this? And therefore, I think this was the person who did it, just did it, perhaps he was in a frame of mind that he couldn't control, and went and did that.
Would it be intoxication of some kind?
Could be, because the Nihangs are known to be, they take sukha, they call it, and every day, so it's possible.
And that's par for the course for them.
Yeah, but that's no way to do it. I mean, I saw a picture later on, not shown by the television, but shown by somebody who taken it, of this fellow hanging from one hand and one hand cut, one leg cut and dangling. And the worst part was everyone was standing around, nobody was taking him for treatment, and 2 policemen were standing and watching the fun too. I mean, these are absurd things happening in our country.
Should never have happened.
Sorry?
Should never have happened.
Never have happened.
So absolutely. How can Haryana government, Haryana police handle it now?
Well, I think they've been arrested, and I think he'll have to face the music. They will have to. I don't know whether he's been arrested by Haryana government or Punjab police. This morning I saw some pictures saying.
Well, I think it will be Haryana police there, but Punjab, if somebody surrendered in Punjab. But again, you see this
No,
story.
he was arrested in Taran Taran because he said clearly on television, I saw it on the social media, that I wanted to go to the Golden Temple and pay my respects before being arrested. But now that the police has come, I'm handing myself over.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is reminiscent of how this started earlier. This lionization of these killers, सरोपे दिए जा रहे हैं. Second, the denial of last rites to the victim. In the village, the Granthi saying, "Don't do his ardas." All that is.
Yes, because that I think they felt without knowing the facts that he had actually committed sacrilege. But to my way of thinking, it is not possible. You cannot, in front of hundreds of people around standing there, you can only be mad if you want to go and commit sacrilege act in front of them when something. So it's obviously the fellow who did this act didn't get his facts right.
How is the Hindu-Sikh equation in Punjab right now?
Very good. I mean, it's good, yes. We don't have any problem, and I think they are very, in fact, let me tell you that it's not only the Hindu-Sikh, the industrialist of Punjab, India. I had wanted that by the time my term ends, I should reach 1 lakh crore of investment in Punjab, but it's already crossed 1 lakh crores. And hopefully by the time the next government comes, it will go to 1 lakh something thousand crores, which is coming on the ground, which means people have confidence in Punjab and the industrialists have confidence in Punjab. When they are coming, automatically the people in the town, the traders and all, they get confidence. So at the moment, there's no such thing. But you know, if these things don't stop, then it can go. And therefore, it is all our responsibility, regardless of which party we belong to see that this doesn't happen and that normalcy remains.
Did you get the sense that your party leadership, Mrs. Gandhi, Rahul, and later Priyanka, they were understanding these issues or not?
I think, look, Mrs. Gandhi has been through the whole thing at the time of Blue Star.
Right.
She was very much there. She saw all this happening. And I'm sure she understood. When I was giving these weapon pictures and all notes to her, and I used to write her a letter every now and then, giving details. But I think the children hadn't been through that period, in the way that they were old enough to really understand. But surely now they're both intelligent, they both understand these things, what's going on in the country, and I'm sure they must be looking at this in that way.
So Sharad Pawar just said something which has been now given a controversial spin. He held out a warning that Punjab don't keep farmers of Punjab angry for a long time, because if anger rises in Punjab, it can cost a lot. And he also mentioned that it cost Mrs. Gandhi her life. So that's been spun in general discourse as saying that he's instigating the people of Punjab to do something awful.
Who's instigating?
Sharad Pawar.
No, he's right in saying so. Why shouldn't Sharad say so? I say so myself, that I think don't provoke the farmers too much and don't let too much happen. Because, you know, anger is something that for the younger generation, it takes over very fast. So what he's saying is right. The farmers are going to, look, I have given 2 lakh of rupees each as a farm debt relief. How many to people less than 5 acres? How many people do you think that is? 72% of Punjab. Less than 5 acres. That's little holdings of 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres. How one more generation it comes to half. And this is the element that's there. It's not the big farmer who's there. The big farmer means anyone over 10 acres is not there. Right. It's all the little fellow. Why? Because he wants to ensure the future of his family. He's 80 today, he won't be there for another 2 years. But he has sons, he has others, and he wants to ensure that they get their own stable future.
So, how would you phrase what Sharad Pawar said? Because he said that you got Punjabis angry and you paid a grave price for it.
I hope not. I hope he's not right in that respect. But yes, that you will get Punjab farmers angry, I agree. And I think it is time, I think therefore, that a conclusion should come to this And that is the only thing. I was telling some friends the other day who were in the farming community that, eventually, even in the First World War or the Second World War, you had to come to the negotiating table. So let's go to the negotiating table, finish it off, cover yourself in whichever way you think right, and let's go back and start doing our work.
But are they willing to listen to that reason? That's a politician's way.
Well,
give and take.
I think they've started, there is some talk going on that they are now agreeing to certain checks and balances. And with those checks and balances, perhaps they will come down to some sort of an understanding.
What kind of checks and balances?
If you can't withdraw, for instance, one of the acts, then you postpone it for 10 years or 8 years or 7 years or something like that. And then in the meantime, discussions, something can be discussed on the table, set up a committee, these sort of checks and balances. That's what I'm saying.
But you think that they are open-minded?
I think so. I think they also realize the danger of all this. And they also know that if this carries on, it can lead to complications. They also know what Pakistan's up to. Nobody's got a close mind on that. They see weapons coming every day. They hear them. They are in the villages. The other day somebody told me, a very senior man, that in Batala town, he says 500 pistols have come into our town. Now that is a very senior man.
Yeah, and
a
Batala is not
man
far
who's been
from
a
the
colleague
border.
of mine. He's not been from my party, but some other party. But we were ministers once together many years ago in the
Batala should be in Sunny Deol's constituency, is it?
Batala would be Gurdaspur, yeah.
Gurdaspur, yes. Interesting. So I'll take some questions from our
Yeah, sure.
guests. Rushil Mehta from Mumbai wants to know, are you floating a new regional party and be in a post-poll alliance with BJP? As straight as this.
Possible.
Possible. Possible, likely.
It's the same thing.
So what is it?
I'll tell you why. It's not that I want to do something in my last years. It's everyone has a sense of being let down, sense of you have your own pride and let down. I have done everything in my powers for 52 years for my country and for my state. I've served it 10 years in uniform and I've served it 52 years in this political
Public life, yes.
And I've done everything in my power. And I do not want to go out as a failure. And this pushing me out in this ignoble way, I'd put it, amounts to that. That this chap has now put him out to pasture. And I'm not ready to go to pasture. And if I'm not ready to go to pasture, then I have to make something of it.
So are you negotiating a deal with the BJP? Are you discussing a deal?
No. But I think we will first have to settle our own system, put a party in place, see how the farmer agitation goes. There are various ifs and buts in it.
So when do we see your party coming up?
Hopefully soon.
Will it also be called some kind of Congress? Because A to Z has all been taken now.
Could be. Sorry. Could be. But I am looking forward to fighting in this. If not one way, then the other way. That doesn't matter. I am in there to serve my state, and I will do it in the best way I think possible.
Amrita,
and if
tell
it
me-
means settling something else up, setting something up to fight as an instrument to fight through, I will do it.
Tell me something. You are the dynast from one of our most preeminent royal families. So that side is there. Yet you are very informal. People who've known you have addressed you by your first name forever, right? Your sense of hurt, is it political? Is it personal? Is it feudal?
Personal. I've never been feudal. Let me tell you, my parents were very pakka on these things. My father was very much in the freedom struggle, the first one of them to sign the instrument of accession. My mother was I went to boarding school at the age of 4.5. And I never came out of boarding school till I left the army when I was 29. Because it was right through the whole system. So you were rubbing shoulders with the whole world.
And most people don't realize that you saw the 65 war from
Yes.
the closest. Because you were aide to Lieutenant General Harbaksh Singh in the war.
See, what had happened then, I had resigned before the 65 war. This was about April, May. And my father had gone as ambassador and my mother was in Lok Sabha. And so my brother was also in the army. So I put in my papers came through. And then 1st of July, if you recall, the Operation Gibraltar started, when the Pakistanis started entering the Kashmir Valley. And then I thought to myself, I had just gone home 3 days. And I came to know, I felt that is not right. So I rang up the general. I said, sir, this is not the time to be leaving. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go back to my regiment. No, he says, are you sure? Because you may not get a chance afterwards to quit again. I said, I'll take that risk, sir. So he said, no, then you can't go back to your regiment because they are somewhere, but he couldn't tell me then. You come and join me just today. So I said, sir, when can you come? I said, I'll come just now. He said, okay, I'm leaving Simla. I'll be in Chandigarh in 2 hours' time.
Shimla used to be the Western Command.
Western Command headquarters.
And Western Command then had what today is Western and Northern and a bit more, I think.
And even right through, I'll tell you where our command was. It used to start from the UP border, go over Ladakh, go over Kashmir, go over Punjab, go over Rajasthan.
Right.
And right up to Gujarat border.
Yeah.
That was Western
I think partly even Southwestern Command. What is Southwestern?
well, after the Kutch trouble,
then
that went to Southern Command.
That's right. That's right. So, so you've seen it from that end as well. But you say that your sense of hurt is personal.
It's personal because, I was not going to start after what I told Mrs. Gandhi. And I wrote her a letter. She must be having the letter with her. I said, ma'am, I want to tell you something. That now I'm calling it a day. I'm going to hang up my sword. Enough is enough now. 80 years I'm going to be in March. In fact, the results last time came out on my birthday, 11th of March. So it's about the same time it will come out now. And I said, after that, I would like to quit and you can put somebody else as chief minister. But let me go. But I want to go with a bang. I don't want to go with a failure. What did I ask for? I just asked to lead the party through the elections to a victory.
Because you always had an equation with her. Didn't she understand this? What you were saying?
She received it. I'm told that she received it very well. And somebody mentioned to me that she said that, I've had a very nice letter from Amrinder and that sort of thing. So I said, fine. And then suddenly, I was told one day, I asked to see her. So she called me. And she called Rawat also. Rawat was our general secretary, or is our general secretary. And we three went in the thing and I told her, I said, ma'am, before we start talking, I want to tell you that I'm going to resign now. She said, why? I said, because I cannot function with Sidhu. He's pulling right, I'm pulling left, we'll destroy the party, we'll pull it apart. And every day he's tweeting against me, he's tweeting against my government, which is your government. And I said against me personally as chief minister. And I think in a month he must have tweeted 40 or 50 times. And I said, I can't take this. I don't do it. I don't believe in this sort of business. So that I should retaliate. She told Rawat, she said, no, you better get him under control and blah, blah, blah. And it was, so Rawat said, main karta hu. Ek hafta to theek raha. So matter was over. Then I am sitting one day in the morning reading my newspapers. And a friend of mine who's an MP rings me up and says, why have you called the CLP meeting for 5 o'clock? I said, which CLP meeting? So they said, it's been called at 5 o'clock. I said, who's told you this? I am the leader of the CLP. I don't know anything about this meeting. They said, no, it's been called 5. Everyone's been rung up all night. So the AICC was ringing everybody up to go for a CLP meeting, and the CLP meeting leader doesn't know that this meeting is being held. So he said, we should meet. So I said, okay, I'm at the farm. We'll meet up at 2 o'clock at my official residence. When I got there were 30, 40 people, and there were some had not been, some had gone to the PCC to find out, and these observers from Delhi had made them sit there and not allowed them to come to my house. So I said, what has happened? Then I knew who had come and what they were doing and all. So I said, fine. They sat for a while. For that, 4 o'clock was their meeting. Oh, in the meantime, Mrs. Gandhi at 10:15 called me. And she says, Amrinder, I think you should resign. I said,
see.
I said, fine.
So she did call you that
Yes,
morning.
yes, that morning. I said, of course, ma'am. I said, I offered you my resignation 3 weeks ago. I said, sure. She says, I said, I'll take time with the governor and I'll go and resign now. So she said, I'm sorry, Amrinda. I said, that's fine. You shouldn't be sorry. Nothing to be sorry about. And so I asked for, straight away rang up my secretary to get time with the governor. And I went at 4 o'clock. And while I was there at 3 o'clock, I told everyone, I said, please go to the PCC, the CLP's meeting, go and I'm not going, I'm going to resign. And they all, I sent them to the office, Congress office, and I resigned.
Of all the veterans in the Congress party, you've had the closest personal relationship with the Gandhi family. Also, given the fact that the Gandhi brothers and you were all together in school, were there issues of over familiarity?
No, I don't think so. I think perhaps
You were the only one who, as far as I remember, did not refer to Rahul as Rahul ji.
no, I always call him Rahul. I call Priyanka Priyanka.
Priyanka, yes.
I've known Priyanka was junior to my daughter in school,
Right.
in Wareham School. And Rahul, when I used to go to take my son out of school for the Sunday, I used to take Rahul out also. And we used to, it was that
So
sort
nobody
of relationship.
nudged you in the party कि आप भी जी बोलो?
Nobody asked me. And never has Rahul said it either. Or any of the. In fact, they call me uncle, both of them. So it's interesting. But it was. I felt that I'd known them for such a long time. I'd known Rajiv since 1954. Right. And I tell you, he was a very pleasant boy in school. One day, he was always smiling. I didn't know who he was. And I asked somebody one day, I said, who's this boy? And we used to have a break at 11 o'clock. He said, that's the Prime Minister's grandson. Panditji was then around. I said, Acha. And that's how I know. And he's always very pleasant, always smiling. Sanjay nahi. Yeah, Rajiv, yes. And that's how we had that sort of a relationship all along. So I didn't expect to be treated the way I was treated that morning, that day, or that few days, those few days, the way they did it. I mean, all I would have needed to have been told, Amrinda, please, we discussed it that day, you offered your resignation, would you give it? I said, sure, man, take it. But why go behind my back and think that and get everyone and not to go to Amrinder Singh's house as if I'm going to put them in an aircraft and fly them to Goa? What nonsense is this? I mean, if in 52 years you don't understand a man's nature and his character, then there is something wrong. I have known them for 52 years. And they should know what sort of a person I am. I'm not the type to take people by buses to some holiday resort and keep them locked up there. I am a soldier. I'm given a task to do. I do my task, and when the task is over and I'm told to go, I pick up my kit bag and move. That's it.
So what's the task you've set yourself now? We are coming to the conclusion.
Now, I'm not going to quit till I fight this battle out. I will quit if I've won the battle. Otherwise, doesn't matter. You know what the Gurkhas say? The Gurkha regiment says, it is better to...
Kayar hunu bhanda maran ramro.
That's in Gurkhali. But it says that it's better to die than live a coward. And I go by that. I'm not from the Gurkha regiment. I'm from the Sikh regiment. Nevertheless, that's a very good motto they have.
So if you're not quitting the fight, you're in the fight, what is the target?
Target is forming a government. Of course, we will form a government. If we can do an understanding with the BJP, if we can have a seat alliance with the BJP, if we can do it with Mr. Deen Sah's party, Akali Dal,
you don't have an ideology.
and if we can even do it with the farmers, we'll be very happy. If the farmers come and we all become on one side of the face, all of us are working in the interest of Punjab.
I mean, you will not have any ideological qualms now going with the BJP?
I have no ideological qualms. I am for Punjab. I have no ideological. I have never had ideological.
You don't see them as communal, anti-Muslim?
I am totally for the state. And I think if I am in the state with my colleagues and friends, we will be able to bring everything together. I don't think so.
So this is the relaunch of Amrinder Singh?
Do you think that the Muslims in Pakistan, in Punjab, would like tension between communities?
No, not at all. Punjab is a
never
rare
like.
state in that sense.
So in Punjab, whether it's Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Jainis, whatever they may be, everyone is a Punjabi. That's it.
Yeah. So this is the fresh launch of Amrinder Singh as a regional leader, as a state leader.
Well, I was a state leader even last time. I've been chief minister twice. I've been a minister
okay, but
once.
when
I've been
that
PCC president 3 times.
Yeah, but that was as a member of the Congress party, the Congress ideology, Congress everything. But now a regional ideology.
I think it will be, yes, you can say it is Amrinder Singh for Punjab. We don't look at other things.
You know, this Luisinho Falero, when he was leaving the party, the Congress party, and joining Mamta, he said time has now come for all old Congress people to revive the old Congress party. You see a future for the Congress party with the Gandhis or minus the Gandhis?
No, I don't have any qualms on that. Look, I believe in this, that if people vote for them, then they have a right to be there. If tomorrow people don't want to vote for me, they won't vote for me. But if they vote for me, then that means they want me to be there. And the same is with the Gandhi family. If Mrs. Gandhi and the 2 children, the country votes for them, then they have every right to be there.
So, if you go with the BJP now, which is a possibility you are exploring, then don't you worry that in Punjab right now there is such antagonism about the BJP and Mr. Modi, particularly
No,
among the Jat
antagonism
Sikhs?
is because on the farmers' issue. Before farmers' issue, there was no problem. Where was the problem before farmers'
No,
issue?
the problem was that he never swept Punjab like he swept other parts of North India.
Well, can't you give me some credit for that?
Of course.
Can't you?
but you are the only one who could stand in his way in all of North India.
Well, I think, the campaign was run on Captain Ki Sarkar and that sort of thing, and somehow it clicked with the people. That's how it did.
So once again, it's going to be Captain Ki Sarkar.
No, that I don't know. That of course we have to first set things going and see how it all works out. But certainly, I will put my best foot forward. And
So on a scale of 10, before we conclude, on a scale of 10, do we see you in elections? Definitely, that is 10 out of 10?
100%.
100%, okay. And on a scale of 10, the chances that you will be in elections with BJP as your partner?
Yes, I would like that. Not only them, I would like to see the BJP and us sharing seats, not as a member of the BJP, but sharing seats. Certainly, I'd like to see the Akali Dal also, the breakaway factions. There's the Dhingra faction, there's the Vihinder factions, other factions who get together. There's Brahmpura in it. There are a lot of people in it who can come in also in this. And then I'd like to see most of all the farmers. They are the ones who suffer the most. They've sat for 1 year here through winter and summer and the heat and the cold. And I'd like to see some of them part of us also. And if we can form this foursome, then I can tell you now that we'll carry Punjab.
And you think you can then sort of push aside Aam Aadmi Party and its popularity?
Yes. Now, yes.
Because you've used some,
if we have this foursome.
You've used some unkind descriptions for Kejriwal in the past.
I still believe them.
You still believe?
I still believe them. I find he's a sneaky little chap. I called him, I think, once, didn't I? I think that's what I called him. And I still like
That's a
him.
bit unlike you. You don't use that language about
Well,
other
a sneaky
political
little
figures.
chap is not bad language. It's just describing a person. And I don't like sneaky little chaps. I like people who are upfront. And I'm not one of those who's a sneaky little chap. And I like to call a spade. And I want him to call a spade, but he doesn't. He calls a spade a shovel or whatever he wants to call it. But that is not the way leadership should be. Leadership should be upfront and it should give its views and let the people choose what's right or wrong.
Well, we could have renamed this episode of Off the Cuff Upfront with Amrinder Singh because Amrinder is always upfront. And I can tell you what, if he was not going to contest in this election, we would have missed something because there are fewer sites that are more fun in Indian politics than Amrinder in his campaign. So Amrinder,
Thank you.
see you
Shekhar.
on the campaign and before that, and all the best to you.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you.